Hello, everyone, and welcome to my I Love Learning podcast today. You all, I am so excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am to have joining me today Adam Gorlitsky. And he actually is the founder and executive director of I've Got Legs. And I want to, before I have him introduce himself and tell you what he's passionate about, I want to tell you a little personal story about how I met Adam and why he just inspired me. You know, like when you think about who inspires you, I'm sure everyone has someone that comes to their mind. For me, it was Adam, and it was a cold, very, very cold and bitter morning in Charleston, South Carolina. I was actually even contemplating not doing this race. The Charleston Half Marathon was in January here. It was in the 30s. It actually was colder even so before the race started. And I got up with the rest of the folks, not realizing that Adam was actually already on the course. And let me say this, that I was at I even crossed our car. I think I passed our car at mile 3, and I was contemplating going back in the car. And when I got to mile 7, I looked over, and probably at mile 9 was Adam, and he was in, and he'll tell us about what all the tech is. He was in a full exoskeleton, you all, doing the Charleston Half Marathon. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I looked over and I said to myself, he is a champion. Here I am, feeling sorry for myself about the race. And Adam was there in a full exoskeleton conquering this Charleston Half Marathon. And I passed him. When I passed him, everyone was like calling out to Adam, giving him lots of positive feedback. And I come to find out a few days after that Adam had gotten up early in the morning. I think it was what, Adam, like 11 a.m. or 11 p.m.
Oh,
It
it
was
was yeah. It was 11:30ish, I think.
11:30 he got up, which
Yeah,
was probably 20 degrees or something. He
very
started
cold.
that race, and not only did he finish the race, he set a world's Guinness Book of World Record, and it wasn't his first, I find out later. So without further ado, I am so honored and pleased to have Adam join me today on my Mind of a Champion podcast, specifically because he certainly does have one. Thank you, Adam, for joining me. Tell
Yeah,
everyone a little bit about who you are and tell us what you're passionate about.
yeah. So real quick, that the Guinness World Record is still pending technically.
Oh,
I
okay.
have to submit a couple more pieces of I have videos and stuff. So it's still pending.
Got it.
But
You're
when it's all settled, I mean, it should easily be a new world record. Um,
Absolutely. Well, regardless what they say, you definitely set a record. I mean, for all those people that passed you that day, you
yeah.
left an impression.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, everyone leaves. Yeah, when I do races like that, and then I'll tell you my story and everything. No, one of the cool things that happens is, a lot of people come up to me and start sharing with, to me and it's also my crew members, their stories
Mm.
of struggle and perseverance and stuff like that. So, no, I mean, I appreciate you saying that I inspired you, but honestly, like everybody inspires me just as much,
Aw.
so, yeah, I really appreciate you saying that though. But no, I'm Adam Gorlitsky. I used to live in Charleston. I currently live in Greenville, South Carolina. I miss Charleston.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Charleston. I'm going to be 38. I don't know if I look it, but I'll be 38 in a couple of months. But when I was 19 years old, I was driving back home from college, and I fell asleep at the wheel while I was driving. As a result, I was in a single-person car accident, broke my back.
Mm.
Daughters said I would never walk again. I suffered a spinal cord injury. And daughter, I'm so right now for the past almost 19 years, I've been paralyzed from my belly button down.
Mm.
So daughters said I would never walk again. But little did I realize, though, that I would be walking just in a much different way thanks to this technology called the Rewalk powered exoskeleton.
Hmm.
This exoskeleton, it's an amazing piece of technology. It allows me to stand up and walk. So for the past 8+ or almost 9 years now, I've been using this Rewalk powered exoskeleton to walk marathons, half marathons, and 5Ks, 10Ks, all throughout the country. I think to this day I've done about 75 plus road races. Um,
Wow.
and
75?
yeah, I think about 75 actually. Actually, that's crazy. Um, I was doing a lot when I was. I mean, I'm 38. I feel 58 some days.
Oh,
So I can't do it, and my walking partners are getting a little older too. So, um, so we're so anyway. I haven't been doing as many races as I used to, but no. So over the past almost 9 years, I've been building my nonprofit organization called I Got Legs, pretty much on the back of me walking all of these road races.
wow.
So my organization that I'm the founder and executive director of, it's called I Got Legs. Our mission is to re-enable paralyzed athletes to walk again. And how we do that, we have programs that help expand access to the exoskeleton technology. And we essentially, and we help others get access to these exoskeletons who are paralyzed. And our main point of view in doing that, besides just getting people walking again, one of our big goals is to turn exoskeleton racing into a Paralympic and collegiate adaptive sport. So
Let's do it. Let's
yeah,
do it.
well,
Absolutely.
we're and we're definitely making some good strides that I maybe talk about here soon. So excited.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And how you turned obviously a horrific accident, and also people telling you that you would never walk again. I don't like when people say never going to do something, because it just like
Yeah,
it lights that fire. And so when somebody told you like you face that hurdle or roadblock block that stood in your way, you can kind of talk about that and how you overcame that, because that, I mean, for
yeah,
most people they may see that as really the end of the road for them.
yeah. I mean, well, there's a lot of things that that's a if we wanted to, we can go really in depth with that. But I think one oh man, I could go a lot of different angles. I think one, just on a nuts and bolts level, I guess gratitude, in the sense that
Mm.
I'm paralyzed from my belly button down. So when I went to the rehab clinic, I mean, there's people paralyzed literally from their neck down, who are the same, who are also 19 years old. I don't even know if some of those kids are even like, I mean, they're probably, I mean, there's a good chance that they might not even be here anymore. That's a whole different. So gratitude or grateful in the sense that, I mean, as much, I mean, I hate saying this, but it could be worse.
Mm.
So seeing that up close and personal helped. Um, and then my family. I mean, I have a really great family. We're a family of entrepreneurs. So I guess one of the things we talked about before we came on this podcast is grit and perseverance. And I think my parents, and my family definitely has that. So I would say my family as well. My friends. I mean, I think all my friends really helped me out. I have a lot of friends that I have friends that kind of will tell me what will just kind of like agree with my feelings and make me feel
Mm.
good, which is great. I mean, but I have other friends that really tell me how it is.
We all
Some,
need those folks, right? We need people
yeah,
to set us straight.
yeah. I mean, sometimes, yeah, yeah. I don't mind people telling me how it is. I think maybe the tone of voice sometimes maybe they need to work on. I guess me too, though.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
that's awesome. So you definitely had supports to help you, but
yeah,
I think about your mind, like, and specifically the thoughts that you had to provide yourself to kind of move forward. So what really inspired you to want to continue to move forward in your journey towards your passion? Because you think about, was it like this period, I guess you were 19, you probably weren't even aware what your passions were at the time. Maybe
Mhm.
you did. And so you kind of grew into your passions as your new self. But what really inspired you, do you think, to want to continue to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, so I was 19 years old when I got in my car accident. So as you just said, I was so young. You don't really know who you are,
Mm.
especially, I was a sophomore in college. So I think, as much as my car accident and, being paralyzed, I mean, obviously no one, it kind of sucks at times. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's bad things about it for sure. But I think what it forces you to do though is like, it's and at such an early age, it kind of forces you to rediscover who you are, or not necessarily rediscover who you are, but yeah, rediscover who you are, but like find out just who you are. It really forces that upon you. So yeah, I think yeah, I'm trying not to go too much on a tangent. I could talk. I don't think a lot of people realize we had like a 20-minute podcast before this.
Yeah,
A lot of your stuff,
absolutely.
which is another. We'll have to. I mean, we could be here all day. But
Right.
no, I think what inspires me though is I know who I am. Like I really know who I am. And I think some people. I think we were talking. You're very inspired by helping others, and so am I. But I think me personally, I think it's like I'm on a journey to like fill holes in myself,
Mm.
so to speak. So it starts there. It starts with filling voids within myself, kind of who I am, and then bringing it up to a bigger level that helps people. It obviously has to help, like eventually help others, or else you can't make a living at it, right? But I think it starts with kind of like what I'm insecure about, maybe the person I want to be, who I think I am in that given moment. And that's kind of the birth of I Got Legs. I mean, it's I want to walk again, right? Like I'm paralyzed. Growing up, and I played basketball growing up, track and ran track and cross country, and so I guess like the lower half of my body was always a big part of like who I was. So I
Mm.
think I don't want to say it's not necessarily walking that I'm doing it for. It's probably like I like my physical prowess. I like being tall. I'm 4'10" when I'm sitting in my wheelchair. I'm 6 foot when I stand up in my powered exoskeleton. So, I want to give that physical prowess, rediscovering people's athleticism, the lower half of their body, back to them because I've done that for myself.
Wow.
So I think yeah, and it's a good feeling. It's yeah, it's kind of both. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this idea that you said, Adam, about filling the void in yourself.
yeah,
Like that piece of it really fills yourself, right? It's kind of a paradox where you're trying to discover something inside that's missing, and
yeah.
you're utilizing your entrepreneurial spirit and who you are in your heart and soul as a person to fill that void. And do you think what do you think it is then that keeps you happy? Because this isn't like something that's going to be done. This is an ongoing commitment that you've made to your
Yeah.
business and to your journey. So what engages you every day to continue to fight? Because this is a fight, right? Would you describe
Yeah.
it as that, like a fight
Oh
and a
yeah.
journey? So what do you do every day to kind of help you continue to move forward towards this idea of helping other people, lifting other people up
Yeah.
through I Got Legs?
Well, I think it definitely helps to have a tangible long-term goal.
Mm.
We actually kind of, I hate, I mean, I don't hate this, but we talked about this before the podcast. Like it's like what you want. Like what you want is the long-term goal, right? And then it's doing what you need to do to achieve that long-term goal. So I think, what motivates me to keep going is I know what my long-term goal is.
Mm.
Um, and we have many long-term goals. The Paralympics, turning exoskeleton racing into a Paralympic sport, then that's a really long-term goal. And then, creating a whole new exoskeleton is what we need to do. But that's also a goal too. So it's both. So yeah, to answer the question, I think what inspires me, it's just I have a lot of goals, long-term goals. I put myself, I have what I want in life, the long-term goal, and then I kind of like reverse engineer backward, and then I kind of build up from there. And that every day is a really fulfilling day when I do that. So
that's
yeah,
amazing. How do you, Adam, like, I'm just curious. So you set long-term goals, but is there something that you tell yourself or you think about to help you get through and to those like I saw you in the race. And I mean, when I saw you, you were struggling, right? I mean, I saw
oh
you.
yeah, it's
Like if
tough.
I was struggling too, and I was about ready to go get in my car, but you were struggling, and the look on your face, I knew. I turned around and looked at you, and I knew you
Yeah.
were going to finish that race. And
Well,
and honestly, you had been out there since 11 a day before 11:30. And here I was. I had only been on the course, at that point, like an hour and 45 minutes. Now I'm feeling bad. What is it inside your head in that moment or every day? What do you tell yourself? Or are you telling yourself something? Or are you just is it just that grit that is like burning inside of you?
well, I think and when you describe how I really was struggling. So right around mile 7 or 9,
9. Yep.
it was right next. I believe that's where the battery is.
Yep.
And so it was really cold. The battery is like
Yep.
15 to 20 degrees cooler. So I was like hypothermia. I was actually really struggling. I almost thought about quitting actually.
Yeah.
And
We
my
all were.
girlfriend,
Don't feel bad. We all were. I mean, the wind,
yeah.
everything. It was brutal.
And I had my then girlfriend and my dad, and then one other volunteer from Cleveland, Ohio, with us. They were struggling too. So I think I think what inspired me to keep going is I'm building my organization on the back of these road races. So professionally, that helps me to keep going. That's look, I'm 38 years old. I'm trying to do this like for a living, right? So I can't just do it for like my own personal satisfaction. I guess especially a huge half marathon that's going to
Right.
put a lot of wear and tear on everybody's bodies. So I think business wise, it's good. You raise a lot of awareness. So there's like the business goal that me trying to get the world record and fundraising for I Got Legs and raising awareness. But then personally, I think personally these road races, a long marathon, it does help. Like whenever I achieve a physical goal, it really helps me to like stay focused, and like I really need that like for my mental health sort of like some crazy goal, or like crazy physical goal.
Absolutely.
I have crazy career goals, but in order to achieve those crazy career goals, I need to also like do crazy physical goals too.
Absolutely.
And I find myself when I do like a really long marathon or half marathon, or even like a small, not like a 5K, small, it takes about 2 hours, but even when I do like a 5K, crossing that finish line, like that feeling of achievement, physical achievement, like it really does stay with you, like weeks after or months after that, crossing that finish line. So yeah, that's personal, business related, I guess. And then kind of what I've done is like combine those two. So it's pretty fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to write a book with you someday, Adam. I think
I would love that.
this is going to
I would
be,
love
I
that.
mean, it would be amazing. I think, I think about someone with the mind of a champion, and, you really hit on it in the fact that, the journey that you take to get there is part of it, and also setting those small term goals, but always looking forward. And do you find, has there ever been something that in your life that really left an impact on your thinking to think that way? Can you really like think back to like, or is there anything that you've learned that really had an impact on you to move
Um,
forward in this direction?
oh man, that's a good question. There's a lot of things. Yeah, now, I think maybe the guys out there, I think that they'll relate to this maybe. Like you fall in love deeply with a girl and you break up and like that can really motivate you.
Yeah.
I really can. Like, I really can. Like, yeah. Like, I remember being 20 years, like 19 years old and, like wanting a serious girlfriend and they were, wanting the older guys. I was like, well, I gotta achieve something here to like, I gotta do something here. Um, so, so that's, I mean,
Oh, it's interesting. It's
I
interesting.
I kind of said that to be cute and funny, but there is some truth to that. But no, I think it starts with who I am. Like, we kind of said this before, or I said it before. If I had to like describe myself in or three, so okay, you know what? You said you'd love to write a book with me. All right, so
Yeah.
I have this thing that I do. Um, uh, it's I'm laughing because this is one of the questions I'll sometimes use on these online dating apps. I'll say, hey, it's a pleasure meeting you. If you had to describe yourself in three nouns, not adverbs, verbs, or like adjectives, but three nouns, what would that be? So me, it's I'm an entrepreneur. Or I say I'm an athlete.
Yep.
I'm an athlete. I'm a storyteller. I used to do filmmaking before I got legs. That's a whole nother part of my life. So creative athlete, creative. I'm sorry, athlete, storyteller, and creative entrepreneur. So I think what motivates me is, I guess, me.
Yeah.
Is who I am. I guess that's self-centered kind of thinking, but it's just the only way I know how to do it. It starts with who I am. Athlete, setting long-term goals as an athlete, setting long-term goals as a storyteller, and then long-term goals as a creative entrepreneur. And then, so I have these three goals, and then doing what I need to do to achieve those three goals. I kind of feel like once you do that, like once and I say three nouns as opposed to three adjectives because adjectives are subjective. Like, everyone tells me they're a good person, but like, whatever. Like,
Right. Right.
everyone's good and bad, like depending on what stressors are going on in your life. So I start with nouns. I set long-term goals. I do what I need to do to achieve those goals. And I find myself, if I spend like 75 to 80% of my life working on those goals, I'm pretty happy and fulfilled. When I spend 80% of my time doing other things, I'm not so fulfilled. So it's like the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. I love that. It's a great perspective to have. And I think your little comment, it was funny, but it really does mean a lot about having to go through something very hard, having to have that heartbreak, whether it's like you lose access to your limbs, right? Or you lose the person you love.
Yeah.
It's going through grief. It's going through these moments that seem like you're not going to be able to move forward. And then moving forward to be able to reach that goal is so critical. And
Yeah.
you talk about these journeys that you've been on and you've had to learn a lot along the way. I do a lot of research on authentic learning and what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Like when someone says to you, or asks you what authentic learning is through your journey, what would you say to them?
I mean, it's just kind of like what I just said with those three nouns. Like, I know myself. I know myself. I know who I want to be as a person long term.
Mm.
Um, the falling in love thing. Maybe that's where it helps you learn that. But no, I think authentic learning is just knowing who you are and knowing what the kind of person you need to become to be able to achieve those three, to become the best version of yourself. And I think that to me is what, when you say authentic learning, maybe that's the first thing that
Perfect.
pops in my head.
Yeah, that's perfect. I
Because
love
like
that.
with those three nouns, like athlete, storyteller, entrepreneur. Like, in order to be the best version of those three nouns, I have to, not only do like the action or slash verbs to achieve, but like the adjectives. I do need to also like become a certain person to achieve. I need to like, to become the best version of those three nouns. I need to also, be a better person. I need to fill it with subjective like adjectives, I guess. So I guess nouns, verbs, and adjectives.
That's awesome. We'll go back to
That's
basic
authentic learning,
language.
right there.
That's perfect. I love that. Yeah, and language arts at its core. Adam, I wanted to ask you this because it's something that was on my mind when I saw you walking in that cold Charleston half. Which, by the way, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it again because every time I do it, it's cold. I don't know if you have any advice for
It's
me, but
it's really cold. I mean, honestly, I
yeah.
like almost had hypothermia. It was really bad.
It was really cold. If you had somebody come to you, so I work with a lot of different drivers, and one of the things that is striking, and it's striking to me, is many of them have said to me they've lost hope. They're looking for gratitude. They may have lost their passion for life and maybe even learning to continue to go forward. So, given everything that you've been through, your mindset, your journey, advice would you give someone if they came to you and they had that question? What recommendations would you have for them to help them go forward?
Um, so I mean, honestly, I mean, I guess there's there's a few different things I could tell them. You know, yeah, I think it all starts with who you are. Like that's why my three now. I know it sounds. I mean, I've been saying this like past 10 minutes, three nouns, but like the moment I ask people what their three nouns are, like I know within 1 minute of them giving me those nouns, like whether or not like you can figure out a person just like that, and then you break it down like, all right, what are the verbs that you need to do, and then what's the adjectives, like what's the kind of person that you need to become to be the best version of that. So let's hypothetically say a truck driver is a father. That's one of his nouns, and maybe that's why he's sad or depressed. Maybe he hadn't seen his child in a very long time. He's on the road. Well, then we would, if that's one of his nouns, we would be like, all right, what's the goal of being a good dad? What does that mean to you? And then what do we need to do to become the best father possible? And then from there, maybe it's like, oh, like he needs to get off the road, but like obviously, how does he do that? Well, maybe he invests in stocks or Bitcoin, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like what like he needs more money to retire from truck driving. So now it's like now we're creating this like power structure of like to achieve your goals of who you are. That's kind of I'm trying not to get too like ethereal, whatever, heady with it, but to me it all starts with who you are in the three nouns, and then just and then coming up with like a way what you want in life, and then what you need to do, and creating like a power. I like to call it a power structure. Like the people and the things that in your life that you need to, with some people, they say, all right, if you want to achieve your goal or become the person that you want to be, you need to hang out with like we're the sum of the 5 people around us or something, right? So it's like creating that power structure of not only people, friends, and family, but also things. Maybe it's giving up alcohol if that's like instead of alcohol, like let's maybe try to run every day. Instead, just stuff like that. But I think it starts with who you are.
Oh, I love that.
But nouns, I'm telling you, nouns are everything. To me, it all starts with my nouns, my 3 nouns.
That's absolutely. I love that. I'm going to quote that for sure. And I don't think a lot of times people consider, this idea of creating a power structure around who you are and getting those resources you need.
I will say this, like with the noun thing, I know it's kind of silly because everything I do has like a little lighthearted feel to it. But once you know who you are, like your three nouns, and then you set long-term goals within those three nouns, and then you start doing the little verbs of what you need, like the actions. In a weird way, you kind of start to create your own reality. Like you almost kind of put yourself in your own video game, like in a way.
Yeah.
Like life kind of becomes a game, like a reward, like a game. And that's to me, that's really inspiring. Like growing up, I played there's all these little games. There's like level 1, level 2. Now all of a sudden, once you kind of create your life like that, like I just know, like me personally, when I hit about 29, 30 years old, I kind of started thinking like this, and it really changed my entire way of thinking.
Yeah.
My life. Like before that, I wouldn't say I was lost, but I was just kind of floating around, not becoming or doing the things that would make me the best version of myself. So.
Well, I am so glad, Adam, that you have come to this, mindset and really what you're experiencing. I just did a presentation on neurotransmitters and the dopamine and release and kind of the positivity that you're experiencing. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on my podcast today. I know we could talk for hours. You're inspiring. You inspire
We're
me.
We're going to write a book. I look forward
We
to
are.
that.
We're absolutely
really
going to write a book. We're definitely going to do that.
I'm a little I'm a very ADD, so I need you to like type it, and I'll just like talk. And like how about this? Like me and you can just talk, and then other people will just write it.
Yeah, I will write it. You proof it. You add your story.
It'll be like one of those like back and forth like interview things or something.
All right, that sounds
whatever.
that you heard it here first on my podcast. When it comes live, we'll reshare.
You know what? We should just do like a 10-hour podcast, and then that'll be the book right there.
There you go. There you go.
No,
Adam, where can people find you? If people want to connect with you, what's a good place they can hook up with you, talk to you, link you in? What do you think?
igotlegs.org is our website. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not really big on Twitter. It's a little too much hate on that. You got to be like a troll on Twitter. But Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at I Got Legs. So
awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. We got a new exoskeleton that I didn't even mention. Got a new exoskeleton that we're developing. That's getting us one step closer to not only the Paralympics, but it's also a much cheaper exoskeleton than the current one. So I'm very excited. We got a lot of big stuff ahead.
I am so excited. Everyone, keep an eye on I've Got Legs on their announcements. I know I like to share those things too. Adam, thank you for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure talking with you and having you share your story.
No, and thank you very much. This is a lot of fun. I want to come back.
Awesome.
Please have me